Too young for this trek. The final frontier. These are the voyages of
MC,
Troy,
and Erik.
Their mission to introduce Tyler to strange new episodes.
To seek out the best and worst media in the Star Trek franchise.
To boldly go where several podcasts have probably gone before.
So, hello and welcome to Too Young for This Trek. The podcast where I haven't seen Star Trek and they make me watch it randomly, like we don't watch episodes in order. But today we're watching an episode that we did see a couple of weeks ago, the previous one. So we're watching Season 6, Episode 8 of Star Trek The Next Generation, A Fistful of Datas.
Also known as... Sorry.
I probably should have let in with it, but I forgot. So, give me a second. I'll say mine. And I'll cut this together beautifully.
Yeah.
Also known as Data shot the sheriff, but he did not shoot the deputy.
Or How the Worf was won?
Or The Good, The Android, and The Ugly.
Or 1,000 Ways to Data in the West. Troy's not here, and he didn't come up with one, and I had a bunch of extras, so I just threw that one in for it. With that said, I guess we should go ahead and jump into the teaser section. And Troy's not here, like I said, but he sent in some audio about his thoughts, so we'll throw that in too.
So which one's this one about, Tyler?
Oh yeah, I forgot I was supposed to do that. This is this is basically what I assume Westworld is, but
you're not wrong.
This is the one where Geordi connects Data to the ship, and it like glitches, and Alexander and Worf are doing a holodeck thing in the Wild West, and it becomes real, and there's a bunch of Datas. So it's the Western episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
That nailed it on the head, you know.
After the computer malfunctions, Worf, Alexander, and Counselor Troy are trapped in an Old West holodeck program.
Yeah.
Essentially. So
Ancient West.
Yeah, I love how they keep calling it the Ancient West.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, to them, it's not... I wouldn't say it's technically ancient to them. I mean, do we consider, like, Columbus ancient?
Yes.
I guess so.
I guess.
It's,
I don't know,
what,
it's
500
weird
years?
because...
It's 500 years. I mean, it's not like 2,000 years, you know?
Yeah. Well, like, Enterprise takes place more than 100 years before this, right?
Yes.
Enterprise takes place 200 years before this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 100 years
something
before
like
Kirk.
190. Yeah.
Yeah, this is 100 years after Kirk, so yeah. Good 200-year jump there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could see it being Ancient West, you know?
Yeah.
It's already the Old West now. It's gonna be like, what's it gonna be? I don't know. The Older West. That was nothing. So yeah, Troy, you want to tell us about the teaser? Troy, damn it, MC. Troy's not here.
He's stuck on the holodeck.
Yeah, but pretty much everyone's stuck on the holodeck, and Data's acting weird, essentially, in this episode. He starts to act weird after his interface with the computer, and that's when everything sort of goes haywire as well. So
yeah. I guess we'll see what Troy's thoughts are, and then we'll give you our own. So here's Troy.
Hey guys, it's Troy. I am stuck in this tiny little closet with yellow tape all over. See, I thought I'd make myself like a little holodeck to record in, but for some reason the door's stuck. And so I can't get out. So I can't be on the recording. So I'm doing a remote report here on Fistful of Datas, also known as the Magnificent Klingon.
That's pretty good.
Worf. I think this is a great Worf episode. But let's talk about what happens at the beginning. The very opening, I love Picard sitting there trying to play his flute, just trying to have some me time, and everybody barges in. It's so good. Poor Picard. You just can't get anything done. And then there's poor Worf, who absolutely doesn't want me time. Give me anything to do, Captain, please. But he can't get out of it. He's gonna have to spend time with his son. Now I am saying that as in this small closet that I'm standing in, I am holding my son trapped. We're both stuck in here in my little homemade holodeck. So I'm having some force hanging out with my son time too.
Is it over? Yeah, so we didn't mention Picard playing the flute.
Yeah,
So
right at the beginning.
Picard's just, sitting there trying to record a piece of Mozart, and everyone keeps interrupting him.
Yeah. So I think first it's the Doctor, isn't it?
No, first it's Data and Geordi.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, hey, is it cool if we plug Data into the ship? And he doesn't have viruses or anything. Data's totally clean. Like, it's fine. And Picard's just like, yeah, do that. That's cool. Like, just stop annoying me. I'm wearing my gray clothes. That means I'm off duty,
Yeah. He still has the pips on, but,
Yeah, he needs you to know that he is your boss.
Yeah.
Even when he's off duty.
Can't he just, lock the door? I don't know.
Oh, I mean, he has. That's why you keep every time someone walks up and you hear the
buzzer.
Yeah, the doorbell.
Yeah, he's just sitting there trying to enjoy his day off. I love how he's progressively getting more annoyed as it goes on. I feel like this should have been the whole episode, just with Picard, like a sitcom. He just snaps his flute in half by the end of it.
The best bit about this scene is when Geordi and Data are proposing it, and Tyler insinuated that Data has no viruses or anything. It's almost like they're talking about Data's going to have a sexual act with the computer.
Yeah.
He is fully functional after all.
Do you think he caught something from, I forgot her name. Tasha?
Tasha, yeah.
Yeah. That's what happened in this episode. Anyways, so then Dr. Crusher comes in, and she's like, I need to talk to you about breakfast, which is apparently a play that I'm not familiar with. And Picard's like, oh, I don't really have much time for that, and I'm not much of an actor. But then he gets really offended when she's like, it's just a small part. You're going to play the butler.
Yeah.
And he's like, you see these pips? You see them. I am a leading man.
Yeah. And she signs him up. She's like rehearsals at 10 or whatever.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, rehearsals at space 1 p.m.
He's like, fine.
Stardate 1 p.m. I don't know how they keep track of time.
It's really weird.
Supposedly they have shifts. They have 3 different time shifts. And it's funny because there's always supposed to be someone on the bridge, but we only ever seen the main characters. But supposedly there's a whole nother crew that comes in after them. Huh. So, but we never.
So is there a night shift captain?
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe
That's
not
weird.
the captain, but there's a commander that serves that purpose when he's asleep. I'm assuming, or maybe that's number one's job. Maybe number one just never sleeps. I don't know.
I mean, isn't there other races that their days are different, so their sleep cycles are way different? So there's actually a group of people who stay up for 2 days straight.
Yeah, but it's also in space, so all time is irrelevant. It's all artificial. Yeah. They could have 30-hour days if they wanted,
Yeah,
that'd actually be kind of nice.
I guess.
But yeah, after
you'd still get just as tired.
Yeah, I guess.
That's true.
No, well, here's the thing: the day could be 30 hours long, but you go sleep for
a 10-hour,
however long you sleep, and you have your time off, and then you just go back to shift. So you do an 8-hour shift or 10-hour shift or whatever they have to do.
It could be I think firemen have they'd go 24 hours on, 24 hours off or something like that. They do really long shifts, but then they have really long breaks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but they also sleep a lot when they're on the clock.
Yeah, that's true.
So, because there's not constantly fires usually.
Unless it's Jacksonville.
No. Or Australia.
Australia.
Yeah.
Aw, sorry, man.
I feel in Jacksonville, our firefighters do more first responder stuff.
It's true.
Because anytime I used to live next to a nursing home, constantly a fire truck there, and I know those old people weren't starting fires constantly.
Well, I mean, fire trucks also deal with like a whole bunch of other stuff. Like if there's pretty bad crashes, they have the jaws of life, and they also have like they're the ones who go around and they throw like sawdust and shit over all the gas that's leaked or oil.
Sawdust or shit.
To soak it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
We ran out of sawdust. Looks like it's a shit day.
It's like a wheelbarrow full of manure.
It's their shit.
It's all those buckets of shit
yeah.
from the Enterprise from that last episode.
So then Worf comes
dumb,
in,
sorry.
and Worf is like, we should do some security drills because we're doing nothing else. We're doing shit all. And Picard's like, well, we're getting some new people in a week or two. And Worf's like, okay, then I'll do this other thing. I'll do some maintenance.
Yeah. My favorite bit in this is Picard's line.
Yeah.
He's like, you have free time now.
He's like, use it, goddammit, man.
Go use it. Yeah.
It's like, if I can't enjoy my break, you better. You sure shall.
Yeah.
Should.
No. He's almost like, hey, listen, I'm trying to enjoy my free time. Get the fuck out of here so I can do that. Go enjoy your free time.
Exactly.
I'm enjoying mine.
It's kind of weird though, because what Data and Geordi are doing is also kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, but
I mean, they're not just trying to find out if Data can fuck the computer. Like,
they're not on shore leave though, are they? They're like not on break, right?
I thought everybody was on break.
Why is everyone on break? Who's running the ship?
I don't know,
crew.
but
Crew.
I don't remember what they were doing. Huh.
they
Maybe we should have watched the episode.
They're there to have a rendezvous with another ship.
Oh,
and
so
they have to wait a couple of days because there's a delay or something.
That's right.
So they're there for a couple of days. So they have all this free time.
That makes sense. I mean, they're just orbiting a gas planet. Like, nothing's going on there. So,
you guys keep forgetting that Geordi and Data are essentially nerds. So what they're doing is fun for them.
That's a good point.
But also, it seems like Worf is like a workaholic, so I'm sure...
Klingons don't know how to have fun.
I mean, yes, they do.
Well,
it's just...
with other Klingons.
Yeah, it involves a lot of alcohol and headbutts.
And killings.
Fire, wine.
Stabbings.
Blood wine. Klingon blood wine.
Well, he said Klingon
there
fire
is fire
wine.
wine, I guess. Yeah, they mentioned that in this episode.
Yeah. So yeah, is that the end of the teaser? Or do we... No, I think the teaser goes into where he goes to Alexander and he's like, I've been relieved from duty.
Yeah.
I guess I can do that dumb thing you want to do. And then Alexander puts a hat on him and he's like, saddle up, Dad.
Yep.
Yeah, he's all excited. So, to answer the question from a couple of episodes ago, yes, this is this young Klingon Alexander is Worf's son.
It'd be weird if he wasn't.
Yeah, if there was another Klingon on the ship that you hadn't seen.
No, it'd be weird if he was in his quarters, but he wasn't his son.
That would be weird.
Yeah.
So, MC, take us into Act 1.
Essentially, we get Alexander and Worf walking down they're in the holodeck program, and it's Deadwood, and they're dressed up as law enforcement officers. Worf is clearly the sheriff, and Alexander is playing his deputy.
Worf is not having it.
And Alexander is cute as hell. It's not that he's not having it. He hasn't got into the character yet, I don't think. He's trying to work out what's going on. It's 19th century American West, so he obviously doesn't have a lot of knowledge about that.
Yeah, he has no connection.
And they keep calling it the Ancient West, as we mentioned earlier. But how fucking cute is Alexander in his deputy outfit?
Yeah.
So... About Alexander, Okay, so the last episode with Alexander, I was like, this kid looks weird, but he's got prosthetics on. He's a Klingon kid. Like, he's gonna look weird. He's got he's balding is essentially what he looks like.
Yeah.
But this episode, there's a close up, and I've got the screenshot pulled up if you guys can see it.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at his face, and I'm like, is this blackface? Is this a white kid, guys?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It looks like. Oh man, I don't know.
It's not really blackface, and what's really weird is
Sort of an
he doesn't have
orangish.
Klingon teeth in, so.
I'm pretty sure
because,
it's blackface.
I'm pretty sure that kid is also the like he plays Alexander the whole time, doesn't he?
I think so. Well, except for
Yeah.
that one episode. I don't know if it's a spoiler.
No.
Yeah.
We don't want to.
Spoiler
Yeah.
territory.
All right, let's listen to some thoughts from
Okay.
Troy while I Google that shit. I'm gonna see if this is blackface.
Just Google that shit, yeah, Google that shit.
The reveal of Data as the leader of the gang. He comes out of the shadows. Now, obviously, Tyler, you knew this was coming, right? Because we watched the commercial for it last week, and it told us this was going to happen. But that reveal is still very good. You get the little bit of a hint from it when Data does the flip up the whatchamacallit. He flips up the tricorder and holsters it in his pocket. So you've got kind of a hint that something's going on. But then, man, when he walks out of the shadows, it's very, very good.
Google that shit all day long. Google that shit, yeah, Google that shit, yeah, Google that shit all day long.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's Alexander's actor now.
Is that a mugshot?
I think so.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, he's looking pretty pale.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
definitely a white kid.
Well,
But here's the thing: it's not actually blackface because he's portraying a Klingon.
A Klingon that is black.
it's a gray area, right? Brown
I've
area.
seen at least
Yeah.
one other Klingon. The one played by Christopher Lloyd.
Yes.
He was pretty white still. Anyways, we don't have to linger on this. I just wanted to
Klingons
point
come
out
in
that,
all colors, Tyler.
yes, but this one is wearing blackface.
Yeah, no comment.
Yeah. Well, how about we move on to the next bit where this is where Data and Geordi are actually plugging shit into Data's head.
Mhm.
And the uplink, he's at first it seems to be going all right. And Geordi says something along the lines of he's not used to seeing, he still can't get used to seeing Data like this.
Oh yeah,
And Data's like, yeah, and Data's like, you work with electronic systems like this all the time. And he's like, it's different with you. You're not just an electronic system. And Data says, and you're not just another biological organism or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's a great exchange between Geordi and Data, who are essentially
it sounds
best
like a
friends,
backhanded
I guess.
compliment. I love it. I wonder if that was meant to be sarcastic in some way, on some level. Data's learning.
Yeah, is it insulting if I say that Data is essentially Sheldon from Big Bang
No, I
Theory?
think that's pretty apt. I think it's more like Sheldon is Data.
Yeah. I think Sheldon must be supposed to be sort of like a Spock Data type character.
I
Yeah.
haven't watched that show in forever, but I do remember an episode where they actually
either.
cosplay as Star Trek characters, and I think Sheldon is dressed up as Data, if I remember correctly.
I was thinking of the episode where they're all dressed as the Flash.
Oh, that was great too.
Yeah.
I like how they're all arguing about it, and someone suggests in that episode that they all just walk in a line, and they act like they're just going
Yeah.
really fast.
That's
Yeah.
great. So
We're not here to talk about Big Bang Theory, but we're here to talk
Yeah,
about
we'll
Star
save
Trek.
that for another podcast that I don't know. I feel like people would hate us about. I feel like people would shit on us if we made a Big Bang Theory podcast.
There's actually a Star Trek episode that deals with the Big Bang, if I'm not mistaken. So I've always loved like these scenes where it shows like Data's chips. What do you call that? Like where it like lifts up his hair and he's got like all this circuitry under there. I always thought that was kind of clever.
Yeah. I think it's funny how he just like pushes it and it pops open.
It's kind of cheesy today, but like as a kid, like that kind of stuff used to be like, oh, that's so cool, you know?
I mean, that's exactly how you would expect it to be attached, like by magnetics or something.
Yeah. I thought it was funny when he points out that Geordi's growing a beard. He's like, are you trying to grow another beard, Geordi?
Yes.
Because like I saw it and I'm like, oh, Geordi has a beard now. Cool.
Yeah.
And then, he's kind of like a backhanded compliment.
Data's like giving him shit over it. And I just wanted Geordi to be like, I want to, well, can you grow a beard? Can you grow a beard? Shut up. You know, like.
One of the things that happens is he says you can't tell at like an intermediate stage like this, and Geordi's like, yeah, true, give it a couple of weeks.
He's clean shaven the next episode.
That's how I feel about my beard at the moment.
I can't grow one. I just always have like what is that guy's name? Guy Fawkes. I always have the Guy Fawkes look where it's just a stash and a little bit of stubble.
Oh, okay.
Have you been wearing a mask lately, MC? Because I feel like...
No.
Like, I've been wearing a mask occasionally. I have to wear one at work sometimes. And, like, with a beard, it's, like, so itchy. Yeah. I hate it.
Yeah. I didn't know how...
to shave, I guess.
I shave because I don't know why. Something clicked in my brain, and I just did it.
I understand.
I had no control over it.
Totally, I get that. Yeah, I need a haircut, like real bad.
I regret shaving because it made it worse. Because then when it grew back a stubble, it's like attaching to the mask, and it's so itchy.
Yeah, I haven't really gone out all that much, and when I'm at work, I'm normally like meters away from people. Like, I don't interact with the public, so I don't need to wear a mask all that much.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I've been staying inside for the most part, too.
Oh, well, back to the episode. Alexander and Worf are walking down the street in Deadwood, and a lady whistles at Worf and Alexander, and did you catch the mention of who helped Alexander with the program?
I did. Mr. Barclay. I have no clue who that is.
Oh, you haven't met him yet, have you?
No, you don't. No. Lieutenant Barclay. He appears throughout multiple episodes of different Star Treks, and he's not a major character in any show, but he keeps popping up everywhere.
Yeah, he has a lot to do with the holodeck usually. I'm kind of surprised he wasn't in this episode. Yeah. He's not my favorite character, to be honest. I know a lot of people like him, but he kind of gets on my nerves.
Is he like a holodeck technician? Like he pops up, he's like, oh, your holodeck's messing up. Let me put a prostitute in it.
He's obsessed with the holodeck.
And prostitutes.
There's a couple creepy episodes with him.
Anyway, they hear gunshots, and we go into the saloon.
Oh, we must be in Jacksonville.
And this is...
Sorry.
This is where we get to see a couple of the bad guys for the first time.
And one Mexican stereotype.
Eli...
It's like Pancho Villa.
Eli Hollander is... He's like shooting at a poster of himself, and he says something like, it doesn't look anything like me. I'm like 10 times uglier than that, aren't I? And
than the Mexican stereotype.
Yeah, he laughs. He has a big boisterous laugh, and he's like, you're really funny. And then Alexander and Worf come bursting in.
Yeah, Alexander's like, that's the bad guy. And Worf's like, so I just arrest him? So then he punches him in the face and arrests him.
It's like story over.
And Alexandra is like, "Oh, this is too easy," and he increases the difficulty to level 4.
Yeah, what level do you think they were on? Level 1?
Probably.
Probably 2.
2?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to start it off too easy.
If it was 1, he'd probably just give up right away, be shaking in his boots or something.
He would be arrested when they get there.
Yeah. He's already got handcuffs on. They just got to take him to the jail.
It's pretty funny. Then he pauses the computer, they restart it, and they like replay the same scene. And this time, Eli's coming out guns a-blazing. And he says this one really dumb line. Mm-hmm. He says a lot of like funny lines, but this one he says, talking to Worf, he says, "Was you born that way, or did your mama marry an armadillo?" Which doesn't make sense to me. Because like either way, he was born that way, you know. Like if he's part armadillo, like which is kind of funny because like thinking about Klingon foreheads, it kind of looks like it's an armadillo on their head, like curled up a little bit.
And this is when Counselor Troy walks in with a Winchester and shoots, and is like, "How about you stop that, Lord?"
I love that. I love Troy in this episode. She had like this Australian thing going on. Did you guys catch that? What do you think, MC? Like her hat and everything.
I mean, we kind of have the long jackets as well. They're called Dry as a Bone. They're really good, like long coats. They're waterproof, and it's like they're pretty heavy duty coats, and they're really good.
Nice.
So yeah, I can see that. Like she has one of them on. But yeah, she comes in and they sort of back down, and Worf arrests Eli at this point, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just implied. I don't think that they actually show it happening. It's just when we get into Act 2, he's arrested.
But before that, we're at the end of Act 1, it cuts back to Geordi and Data with the interface, and it seems to be working, and he's booting up systems and whatnot, and then something happens, a glitch happens, and they go to stop it, and when they pull out the wire and he puts the covering back on Data's head, Data does a weird thing with a tricorder where he flips it and puts it into the slot on his belt.
In my notes, I referred to the tricorder as a beeper, because that's what it looked like. I'm like, Data does this cool little trick with his beeper, and it's just like, yep.
Yeah, he like does like the gunslinger thing with it.
That's like the first hint of something going wrong, because Eli does the same thing earlier, where he like when he puts his gun away, like in the scene right before that. Yeah. So they're like, hey, this is happening.
Yeah, I didn't catch that the first time I watched it, but it made sense the second time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will get into Act 2 right after this commercial break.
Are you a fan of high fantasy epic book series that are converted into television series? No, not that one. I mean an epic book series that is actually complete. I'm referring to The Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan's fantasy masterpiece that was completed posthumously by Brandon Sanderson. Well, I have the perfect podcast for you. The Taverin is a Wheel of Time podcast where three gentlemen go through the series one chapter at a time, in their own special way. Follow along as Bill, Rob, and Rich re-experience this great epic. Experience for yourself a world full of vibrant locations, colorful characters, and storylines that will never fail to surprise. Visit a world that Game of Thrones can only wish was as fleshed out and complete. The Taverin, a Wheel of Time podcast, is part of the We Can Make This Work Probably network of podcasts. Find our podcast wherever you get your podcast feed, or visit probablywork.com for episodes of this podcast and other great shows. We will see you at the Wine Spring Inn.
Hey, it's just dropping in to say thanks for listening and to remind you to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the episode. Just so you know, we are also available in audio form only on pretty much all of the podcast apps. Now, back to the show.
And we're back. And Act 2, we see Eli in jail, and Worf and Alexander are talking with him, and they're saying that they're going to take him to trial at Rapid City.
Yep.
And at that point, he's like, okay, yeah, my pa's going to come get me out, so I'm not too worried about that. Essentially, both sides are like, we'll see what happens. And Worf is like, he asks Alexander, what is his rights in this century? Which is a great question.
It is.
Like,
It's a good
he
point.
doesn't want to violate the hologram's rights. But it's like, can I go in there and just, like, smack him around?
Yeah, like his next line is, does he get a trial or should I just execute him?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I don't care which. Like, I just need to know which one's legal.
Yeah. And then Troy's sitting at the desk in this scene, and she's playing Durango, the mysterious stranger, and she's playing her part, and essentially she's like, hey, Worf, if you want to play along, you have to get me monetary compensation for the time. And Worf sends Alexander off to the bank to get gold.
Yeah, to get $500.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Worf says, Alexander, we require large amounts of currency.
Yeah. And then Worf and Troy have a conversation about how she knows so much about this time period. And he essentially asks her like questions about this time, but she mentions that her father read her a lot of stories about the ancient West. What do you guys think of Troy in this?
Troy's really cool in this episode. Like, she plays the part well.
Yeah, she's really getting into it. I love it.
Yeah, and she's kind of a badass.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But they get interrupted when, I don't know if she got a name, but
Annie.
Annie? Oh, yeah. Because he says, yeah. So, yeah, Annie comes in, and she's basically like, hitting on Worf. I'm guessing in this holodeck, they're supposed to have a relationship of some sort.
Yeah.
Because she just comes up and like kisses him, and he's like, who the hell are you? And she's like, stop playing games.
Yeah.
Is it another woman?
Do you have the screenshot of Troy's reaction?
I don't think so.
She's like all shocked, and she's like holding a cigar out.
Yeah, there she is.
Yeah,
Yep.
but she looks even more shocked with the close up. And I can't remember what exactly happens. I think she invites him to come around for dinner that evening.
She's gonna make him a nice beefsteak.
And Troy sounds like, oh, that sounds good. And essentially telling Worf to play along.
Yeah, like Worf's like trying his best to get out of it. He's like, no, I've got a prisoner, that wouldn't be right. And Troy's like, no, I can watch the prisoner. Like, that's fine. Like, you go.
Go have fun.
And so, like, Worf is basically sending her the signal that he's into someone else in her eyes. So Annie thinks that he's into that prostitute that he saw earlier.
From Miss Langford's House of Pleasure, to be specific.
And
love that.
then the scene ends up with Worf getting slapped by Annie, and Eli in the jail cell being like, you sure do have a way with women, Sheriff. Which is essentially true about Worf. Like, he seems to always... He stumbles into relationships.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Is that how he became a single father?
Yeah, essentially.
Sort of. There's an episode about that. I think it's on the list.
Nice.
I actually really like that episode. I haven't seen that in a while.
And then we go back to the ship, and Picard's listening to his recording, and it changes mid-recording. And
yeah, it's like some heavier music, but it'd be really funny if it like switches to metal. Like, that would be way more jarring than just like more fast-paced classical music. I can't remember which composer it was, but
Yeah, it should have like switched to like heavy metal or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to listen to his Mozart on NPR, and then they switched to I can't think of a current metal band. I haven't listened to metal since I was in high school.
Current one.
No.
Yeah, everything I could think of is at least like 10 years old.
Just say System of a Down, that works.
They haven't made an album in
Drawn blanks.
Yeah, I know.
like close to 15 years, I think.
Metalocalypse, maybe?
There.
Sorry.
They're not even. I guess they're a real metal band, sort of. Anyways,
but
Devil
Duncan
Driver.
Hill's Coffee, man, that's some metal shit right there.
Yeah. Essentially, what happens next is we get a few different scenes of people getting like glitches with the computer.
Yeah.
The next scene's with the Dr. Beverly Crusher and Riker. They're practicing the play, and Riker is doing his lines, and it changes to Data's poetry and he starts reading it
Poetry.
like
with air quotes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like reading it very dramatically. He's like, Felis catus is your taxonomic nomenclature. And he like instantly knows that this is Data's poetry, but
he's still reading it.
Yeah. Because he's Riker and he's dramatic like that. He's a great actor.
I think it's funny that everyone knows that it's Data's poetry. Everyone's like, this is obviously Data's. Like,
Yeah.
Bad.
And then we get a scene of Geordi like scanning the pads, and he's like, "There's nothing wrong with the pads. It's got to be something wrong with the computer." And Howard's searching for this stuff. And,
It's something wrong with the internet.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, Jordy's like, we'd better run a level 2 diagnostic, whatever that means.
Now I'm wondering if the other ship had shown up and they like their computer's Wi-Fi connected, like would Data have infected their computer also?
Oh,
Maybe.
that's a good question.
Like, I
Well,
don't
it
know.
was only certain drives got affected.
Yeah, it was
Just the food processors on like half the decks. or
secondary
something.
systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
it
holodeck.
had so it had to do with the secondary systems because that's what they were accessing when the glitch happened.
Mhm.
So I guess holodecks and replicators and some other stuff are secondary systems.
Yeah, under normal circumstances, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but you just happen to have some people in a dangerous situation in a holodeck. So,
Yeah.
Speaking of which, then Alexandra gets kidnapped.
Oh yeah. Straight up off the street. And he's holding like a big bag of money as well.
Yeah.
It's great. He like looks in it and he's like, "Yeah, I got all the currency." And then he gets kidnapped immediately.
Yeah. You guys want to hear what Troy has to say about it?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear some Troy thoughts.
The reveal of Data as the leader of the gang. He comes out of the shadows. Now, obviously, Tyler, you knew this was coming, right? Because we watched the commercial for it last week, and it told us this was going to happen. But that reveal is still very good. You get the little bit of a hint from it when Data does the like flip up the whatchamacallit? He flips up the
Beeper.
tricorder and like holsters it in his pocket. So you've got kind of a hint that something's going on. But then, man, when he walks out of the shadows, it's very, very good.
Yeah, Data looks great as Frank. What's their last name? Hollander.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brent Spiner must have been having so much fun in this episode, by the way.
I mean,
he's like really just hamming it up, you know?
he
Mhm.
starts
Shooting
off
that
playing one
scenery.
character, and at the end of it, he's like 8 or 9 different characters
Yeah.
because of the holodeck glitch. And
Yeah.
it's so, especially the last one that it becomes. That's great. But
Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but that final
Yeah.
showdown where everyone they show is Data.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
That's great.
but yeah, we didn't mention this because it's right at the end of Act 2, but yeah, Data shows up as Frank Hollander, and he reveals that he's going to use Alexander to trade for his son.
Yeah, Data's accent is pretty good. Like, my wife's been watching this show on Netflix called Sweet Magnolias, and I can't be in the same room. I'm from Georgia. I'm used to hearing Southern accents. When someone does a bad Southern accent, it's like painful. And that whole show, like, everyone on it is doing bad Southern accents. But yeah, Data's is like, it's hammy, but it's good. I like it.
I think it works.
But yeah, that brings us into Act 3.
Hey, there's a cat. I've got a cat.
Yeah, I think it's the time for that segment, for sure.
In the end,
Oh
I
no,
really
Troy's
like
playing
this
for some
episode.
reason.
It is
Stop it.
total
Troy,
candy.
go away.
Like, it is
Where's Troy
completely
playing from?
inconsequential. It's just fun, but I think this is like a great example of a goofy holodeck adventure done right. It still has the problem all holodeck adventures have, which is like,
Troy,
why do people
spoilers.
hang out on the
Stop
holodeck?
it.
Like, it tries to kill them every time they're there.
I
Stop
don't know
hanging
why
out there.
Troy's ending
But
thoughts
I think
just
that it's
started
really good
playing.
at doing.
Did Data
Anyways.
interface with your computer, Tyler?
Yeah, so Act 3 starts out with Data in his quarters, and he's holding Spot in front of the replicator, and he's like, feline supplement 127, because he's like formulated some special food for Spot, and then Spot doesn't like it because cats are jerks. And
Yeah.
It's Archer.
So it's time for, look, there's a cat. I've got a cat.
Look, there's a cat, yeah, I got a cat.
Anybody have a cat story off the top of their head? I don't, but I can come up with one.
So we have this older cat Beast, and he's on this like seizure medicine, and it's making him really loopy. And I feel really bad for him, but it's also kind of funny because he's just kind of drunk, and he like can't quite cat, you know, like he'll try to like climb up on something and then like kind of like flop over. Like, it doesn't quite work out for him, and he'll be sitting there and he'll like start to doze off and he'll just kind of tip over. It's really bad, but it's kind of funny.
Have you ever seen those thunder vests or thunder shirts that you can get for cats and dogs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's supposed to be calming. We got one of those one time, and we mainly got it for a cat, Mr. Big, who we call B, who's just like terrified of everything.
Oh, okay.
And we're gonna try it on him, but I don't remember why. I think he was just weird when we put it on him, but then we put it on our three-legged cat.
Yeah.
And he couldn't stand. I don't know why.
Oh,
Like, he just kept
he-
falling over.
Here's the thing that's weird with cats. You put stuff on them, and they like to pretend like their back's broken, and like their back legs don't work or something, and they just start falling over or dragging their back legs. It's really weird.
Yeah.
One of our other cats, Jace, I found out with my nieces that he wears a tutti. And so you could just put any clothes on him and he's fine. He just walks around.
Oh.
But yeah, you could just put toddler clothes on him and he's like, whatever. I'm rocking this shirt.
That's great.
He was wearing girl clothes though, because I only have nieces.
So as we talked about, I did shave a couple of weeks back. So my cat story has to do with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So one of my cats we've had for several years, and I have shaved before that, but it's been like 3 years since I've shaved my beard off completely. And our new cat is like just coming up on 2 years old, so she's never seen me without facial hair. So she didn't know who I was for the first couple of days, and she would run away from me, like run away from me. She's like, "Who is this stranger in our house?" And just bolt whenever I try to get close to her. So I
cats are
had to give her
weird.
treats for like 2 or 3 days, so she would be like, "Oh, that's one of my people. I can actually interact with him."
So I love that scene where Spot's trying to jump up onto Data's laptop.
Oh, being
It's
a cat.
so relatable.
Yeah.
Just being a cat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure anyone right now that's teleworking and has a cat can relate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I literally put it in our notes as Spot is being a cat.
Yeah, at first, Data's just like, Spot, you are disrupting my ability to work. And then the second time he gets up, because like he sits him down and he immediately jumps up, which is what a cat would do. Like, is this cat even an actor? Did he just bring this cat from home? But yeah, the second time he does his whole like southern vamoose, you little vermin.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like a real big hint that it wasn't just the computers that was affected; it was also Data. Yep. But no one else is around to see this at this point, so Data doesn't even know this is happening.
Yeah, because according to like his memory banks, he's saying what he would normally say.
Yep. And then the next scene is Worf walking into the saloon, I guess to have his meal or whatever with Annie, or to apologize to Annie.
Or I think he was looking for his deputy.
Oh, yeah, that might be right. He might actually be looking for Alexander.
Yeah, because there was some kind of hint that he was missing. Like, maybe he was just like, he's been at that bank for a while.
Yeah, and she offers him a drink, and he asks for, of course, Klingon fire wine, as we mentioned earlier. And she's like, we don't have any of that European stuff here.
Yeah.
Not like up in the big city.
Yeah, this ain't Kansas City.
Yeah. So you want some sherry? And she gives him some sherry.
Yeah, I think she's like, I think that's what they give you over at, do you remember what it was called? The Pleasure...
Langford's... No, Miss Langford? Miss Langford's
Miss
Pleasure
Langford's...
Palace or something?
Yeah, something like that. And then Frank walks in as Data, and
Worf thinks it's Data to start off with, because he doesn't have any clue of anything being wrong at this point.
Yeah, he calls him Commander.
Yeah, like Troy showed up, so why couldn't Data be there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he gets whiskey or something, I guess, a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, he got like a full bottle.
And the bad guys, the bad guy gang's there, and the Mexican's holding his shotgun, and another bad guy has his hand resting on his gun, I guess. But Frank Hollister is just all cool and calm and collected, and they're discussing Eli, and Frank wants his Eli released, and Worf's like, that's not going to happen. He's going to face criminal charges, and he's probably going to hang for it. And Frank's like, that's not going to happen. And you're going to deal with me. Worf's like, you have nothing I want. And that's when Frank reveals that he has Alexander.
And then he's like, I still don't want that. Just kidding.
Yeah. No, it's not along those lines. He's like, I don't deal with criminals. That's his line. He's like, I don't make deals with criminals. And as he goes to leave, Frank grabs him by the shoulder, and it obviously hurts him, and he's like, Commander! And this is when Worf starts to realize something might be wrong, because he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Sheriff, and he's like, questions Commander, like, is that the Commander? And then as Worf is going to leave, everyone reaches for their guns except for Frank, I don't think.
Yeah, Frank's all cool about it, which it kind of ruins my alternate title, because technically Frank didn't shoot. Data didn't shoot the sheriff, but his people did, so that counts.
Yeah.
I think that counts.
Oh, well, I mean, later on, it does happen, but in this moment, it's just the Mexican and some other lackey, who I'm pretty sure is the guy who kidnaps Alexander, start firing, pull their weapons, and Worf dives through the saloon doors, and they're firing at him. And Worf gets back to the sheriff's office, and he's been shot. But Troy's in the sheriff's office practicing drawing a gun, and I just think it's so bloody awesome. And it's like, she's just like practicing, and it's great. And when Worf walks in, Troy's like, you've been shot.
Do you think they have like safe words for the holodeck? Like if someone's getting too into character or something?
I mean, he literally did it. He was like, Commander.
Yeah.
Like, you address them as themselves. You don't... if you're in character, you're the character. But when you break character and you address someone, that's when you're like, oh, okay, we're not playing anymore.
Yeah.
Which happens a lot in this episode between Troy and Worf.
It happens a lot in TNG in general. Like,
Yeah.
they're always having issues with the holodeck, acting up and stuff.
I mean, in this scene, after, like, Worf's been... It's, like, evident the safety measures are off. Troy, like, bandages it up. Like, she ties the tourniquet with her neckerchief. And, Worf's like, there's something wrong with the holodeck because the safeties are off and there's someone who looks like Data. and they're like, wait, Data? And then Eli speaks up and he's in this jail cell and he looks like Data now.
Yeah, he's like, was my paw a little too rough on you?
Yeah.
And he's like got like a piece of like straw in his mouth. He looks super creepy.
It's so creepy.
Is that the end of Act 3?
I think... No, oh, well, yeah, that is the end of Act 3. You have the Act 3 bit for Troy?
Yeah, let's see what Troy had to say.
The best part about Act 3 is once again Data as the leader of the gang. And this time it's his interaction with Worf, where Worf, like, does not get what's going on. Like, this is clearly not Data. Data does not get this invested in a role. Data's not this good of an actor. And yet Worf is, like, completely befuddled by Data being the baddie. Like, of course he's gonna... If Worf is gonna go... if Data is gonna go into the holodeck with you, he's gonna be on your team, Worf. He's not gonna play your adversary.
I like how Atticus does not miss an episode. I don't know if you caught him, but he was like, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. Hopefully in more of the clips we'll hear a bit more from Atticus about this episode.
Yeah, I would love to hear his thoughts.
Yeah. But yeah, start of Act 4. Data as Eli. Worf wants to know where Alexander is, where they've taken him, because he clearly knows where they are, but they like question if he's Data to start off with. Like, no, you just saw another version of Data outside of the jail cell. He can't be in two places at once. Like, clearly something's going on. And then, of course, Worf being Worf, he threatens Eli in the cell.
Yeah, he's like, it makes me think of Taken. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't know who you are, but I will find your dad and I will kill him. But he's like, where did you take my son?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Troy's like, Worf, wait, we can't hurt him. That could jeopardize Alexander or whatever.
Yeah, and then Data Eli's like, my pa ain't gonna like it if I come home bruised.
Yeah. Which is a great line. And then, because Data can't get bruised. But then all of a sudden, Troy and Worf start making plans about how they're gonna get out of this, because they can't shut down the program. The safety's off, and like, everyone's turning to Data, so obviously something's going wrong, and they're gonna have to try and work their way out of this. But I think the next scene is where they have the meeting. Yeah, it's Picard, Riker, Geordi, and Data all get together, and they're discussing all the things that are going wrong with the computer, because the play, the recording, apparently 3 or 4 decks somewhere doing cat food.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Instead of you order something and it comes out as cat food. It's like, I didn't order this. I want real people food.
Imagine how pissed Picard would be if he's like, he's trying to take a break from playing his flute, and he's like, oh, let me go to the replicator and get something to eat. And he goes to get some, a nice hot Earl Grey tea, and it's cat food.
It's cat food in like the teacup.
Yeah. He goes to take a sip, and he's just like, oh.
But in this scene, little things start to slip in Data's lexicon.
It's a good way to put it.
At one point, he says, "I reckon,"
and he's like, "No, I didn't."
And
he's like, "I did not say that."
and then Data says, "Oh, what's the other line that he uses here? I can't remember." He says like a full line.
I like his line when he's saying that he didn't say it. He's like, well, according to my memory logs, I did not use those words. You are a liar.
Yeah.
Y'all must be mistaken. I think that's what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then Data like walks out of the room like a cowboy, like kind of waddling and spits into a plant.
Okay. Do you know why cowboys walk like that?
From riding horses, I assume.
Yeah,
so long.
They've been riding hard and they're a bit bow-legged, so that's why they walk like that. And then he spits, but he doesn't actually spit. It's really weird, and everyone's like confused about Data's
wait, he has spit? First of all.
Yeah.
Does he have spit?
I don't know.
He has mucus.
Apparently.
Okay.
I think
that weird, I remember that being discussed at Star Trek Picard.
Yeah. I never understood that though. Like, what's the point?
I think they discussed that in Star Trek Picard. I don't remember what the point was, but Frank shows up in the Wild Wild West.
So they're back. We go back to the sheriff's office, and Troy sees Eli shuffling like Data does at one of their poker nights, and she starts to realize, oh, it doesn't just look like Data. It has some of Data's, like these people are starting to get Data's abilities as well, and she brings this up to Worf, and she's like, listen, this could be bad for us, because if they have the abilities of Data, he has the speed and accuracy of an android. It's going to get dangerous, essentially. But as they're like discussing what's going on with the holodeck and how they're going to finish the how they're going to get out of here, there's a knock at the sheriff's door, and it's Frank coming in to see Eli.
And Worf just like, when he hears that knock, gun up. That was really funny because like the scene before it, he's holding a box with both hands, and then it cuts to like a scene from him behind, like reaching with his gun up as soon as he hears the knocking. So I guess he just dropped that box. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a very Worf thing to do. I think that's very in character because he's always like, shields up.
Yeah.
He's like, just drop what he's doing.
Guns up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when Frank does come in, he asks for it, like Worf asks for him to hand over his weapon, so he does that. And then, of course, as soon as Frank walks in, he's like, they've been treating you right, and boy. And, of course, Data Eli's like, no, they haven't fed me since I got here, and they've been treating me poorly. And, I mean, he even says that the sheriff's roughed him up a bit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's really milking it.
Then, and Frank turns around and says, "You're going to pay for that." But he also wants to negotiate the release of his son. So he's like, "How about this? One last time. For the release of my son, I'll give you your deputy back." And of course, Worf has to agree this time because he found out that the like safety settings are off, so he doesn't want to endanger Alexander now. Before, he just thought this was a normal holodeck game and Alexander was safe.
Yeah, and then Troy's like, from everything my dad told me about this time period, the villains never keep their end of the bargain, so you gotta be prepared to fight him.
Yeah, and he's like, but we made an honorable agreement, and she's like, this is the ancient West. They don't have honorable agreements here. They don't believe in that. And she's like, you're going to be fighting a bad guy with the speed and accuracy of an android. You don't stand a chance. And Worf is like, he looks worried at that point.
Yeah.
And that's the end of Act 4.
Yeah. So, real quick, I was just thinking, like, this is from, like, 1993 or so, sometime around there.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably
early 90s for sure.
pretty technically impressive, like, that scene with two datas, like, talking to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
This is pre the remake of The Parent Trap, so...
That was the big special effect for the episode. That's where they used all their budget.
Like, I mean, this, you see this commonplace, like, all the time now, but I'm sure at the time this was
Oh yeah, totally.
pretty big. Anyways, let's see what Troy has to say about it.
Poor Worf just doesn't get the setting that they're in. He like makes a deal with evil Data, and Troy's like, "Hey, Worf, bad guys lie though." And Worf is like, "No, we made an honorable agreement. He can't lie. It was an honorable agreement." Oh, Worf. Oh, you poor sweet babe.
Klingons are all about that honor.
Yeah. So, Act 5, we get, they discover what's going on with Data in the computer, and how to fix it, they're gonna need to make a memory purge for both of them.
Yeah, so, yeah, they figure out the whole, like, how Data's, like, personal memories got mixed in with, recreational, yeah, specifically the 19th century recreational data. And Riker's like, well, that would explain the accent.
Yeah. But Riker's in this scene, and it's great, the interaction between Data and Riker. He's just great.
Yeah, Data's in full-blown cowboy mode.
Yeah. But they decide to give them both memory purges, and it'll be fixed in several hours or something.
It'll be fixed in time for supper.
Yeah, there we go. But then we cut back, and Troy and Worf are making plans, and someone comes up and knocks on the door, and he opens the door, and it's Annie again. I can't remember what she brings.
Was it?
Is it dynamite? No, or
No.
it's like a toolkit or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Worf finds like a knife or something in there, so he can pry something open, so he can make a force field.
Yeah, he takes his
that will last like
his
10
comm
seconds.
badge. He like opens. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Sorry. He pries it open, and I guess he uses the tech in there to somehow make like a mini force field. But it's like it only lasts for like 15 seconds. I want to say.
So
Yeah.
so he's basically like
He's
shields
MacGyvering
up.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's MacGyvering his
Yep.
shields up.
Exactly.
Yeah. But essentially, he gets it to work, and he puts it on the belt next to his
I
gun.
thought that was super clever.
And then, yeah, and then him and Troy are talking before they go out. But essentially, she's like, hey, you gotta be careful. It's only gonna last so long. And then you're gonna be in trouble. And then they're out in the street. And Worf and Data Eli are at one end of the street. And then Frank, Data, and Alexander come down at the other end of the street. And he's like, Frank just sort of like sends Alexander back. And Worf nods at Eli, and they both cross and pass. And then all of a sudden, we see the Mexican's hat poke over the top of a building.
Pancho via Data.
And it's Mexican Data!
Yeah.
And then a door opens, and a hand comes out, and then, oh my god, it's another Data.
It's kidnapper Data.
Yeah. And they're crossing paths, like
It's a fistful of them.
Eli and Alexander crossing paths, and then Eli's like smiling and smirking and sneering, and of course everyone's taking aim at Worf, and then everyone who's got exchanged with like got told to take cover, and then of course Frank starts shooting at Worf, and Worf puts his shields up, and it works.
Yep.
Yep, and then Worf shoots the gun out of Frank Data's hand, right?
No, first... Oh, wait, is that before Kidnapper Data walks out into the street and Troy's like, hey, you stop right there? Yeah. So...
Yeah, she sticks up a lot of them, but yeah, I don't know if that happens before or after, but essentially they have everyone surrounded by two people. But anyway.
Yeah. And it's really weird, and then Mexican Data...
It's Western logic.
Because Frank has had the gun shot out of his hand. Mm-hmm. Mexican Data up on the roof pulls out another revolver and throws it to Frank. Senor Hollander, as he calls him, and he's going for it. And, oh, wait, this is when Worf shoots the gun out of his hand. Because the first gun's just empty.
Mm-hmm.
So, Troy definitely holds up. And then the Mexican is just like... Mexican Data, like, creeps back down behind the roof. Because he's like, oh, that happened. And then, of course, Frank is like, got no gun, and he's like, shoot me. And, of course, Worf doesn't because of honor. And he's like... Get out of here and never show your face in this town again. And all the bad guys walk off.
Yep.
And that's basically it. We get back to the ship. Everything's fine.
No. There's one last scene in the holodeck that I want to... I wanted
good point.
This to stew. I wanted this to stew for a little bit. So, right at the end, they've clearly won... But the holodeck hasn't shut off yet, and they're like, something's wrong. And, of course, Alexander's back, and everyone's safe. And they're like, why hasn't it shut down yet? And then Annie comes out of nowhere. Except it's not Annie. It's Data as Annie.
It's Data and Drag.
Yeah. And she comes running down the stairs and gives Worf a big old smooch, and that's when the holodeck ends.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we can thank Barclay for that programming.
Yep. Worf's gonna have a talk with Barclay. He was already gonna say something, but now he's really got some beef with him.
And then we get to, of course, the end of the episode. Alexander's in bed because he's had this big day. And there's been a lot of excitement, and Worf comes walking into the bedroom, and Alexander's like, I guess you'll never want to do that again. And Worf is like, someday, Deadwood might need a sheriff again.
Mm-hmm.
And a deputy.
Yeah. And...
I shot the sheriff.
And it makes...
Sorry.
Alexander smile, and he goes to sleep, and Worf walks out into the living room, and you see his walls are covered with weapons, especially maces and like a shield, and I'm pretty sure there's...
There appears to be a backlift.
Yeah, backlit.
Backlit. Is that a backlift?
It's a backlit.
Or is that the other weapon?
No, it's definitely a backlit. I think I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah, I haven't heard the word said in a while because I have never seen one in a Star Trek episode, but I'm pretty sure I've told you guys the story about one of my friends in high school.
Yeah, Bathlet. Bathlet?
Oh, I've told you guys that story, right?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I know I've told it on a podcast before,
so
I'm sorry if I'm
this
repeating
podcast.
it. But I had a friend in high school who claimed that he was in like this like league of like batleth fighting, and then like I was on the phone with him one time while he was at one of these like tournaments, and he was like, I gotta go, because he was in a gunfight with like some like people were taking like real serious. But then I drove by his house and he was home.
Oh.
But like he like
What?
he
So
kept
random.
saying these things for like years. It's really weird. Never got him to own up to the fact that he was lying.
This is really strange. Was he just like joking,
Weird.
but like just being real
No.
serious about it? Like just
No. He
straight
was
face
like
lying.
no, he was like really like defending it. Like he wanted us to believe this was a thing. I don't know
Oh,
why.
weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's like, if you don't want to hang out, dude, it's fine. You don't have to say you're at this illegal batleth tournament. It doesn't make you sound that cool.
No. I know there's people who like talk Klingon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There are
Like,
some people that take it a little too
You
seriously.
can learn Klingon.
Google will
Yeah.
translate to Klingon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing
It's great.
learning Japanese on Duolingo right now, and apparently you can do Klingon on there. I might have to try.
Oh my
I
God.
think that's what I heard. I have to check that out next.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to. Not only am I gonna have to learn,
We all have to learn it.
Japanese,
I mean, if we're stuck
I'm
in
gonna have.
lockdown, might as well learn a language or two, even if
Yeah.
one of them is a fake one.
And then I'll have to learn how to make blood wine.
That's a thing.
We should all learn Klingon and do an episode in Klingon.
Oh god. It's an amazing idea. We should just do the show notes in Klingon. Like people have to like put it into Google Translate to see what we're talking about.
But yeah, at the end of the episode, we get Worf in his hat. Because he enjoyed himself. He does a little quick finger gun at the mirror, and then it shows the outside of the ship flying over this. It's a really good, like, that CGI or whatever that of the Enterprise
Like flying into the
over the
sunset.
planet.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was really nice.
That was an
seeing.
awesome shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I commented on that one.
It's literally them flying off into the sunset.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's great. It's the end of a western, and they're going off into the sunset. It's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's cheesy, but I think it fits.
I don't think. Yeah.
Oh, let's see what Troy had to say about Act 5.
The last act of this episode has some great moments. You get Worf like using a combination of Old West materials and a comm badge to create himself a little force field that he can use, which feels more like an O'Brien thing to do than a Worf thing, but sure, I'll buy it, whatever. And then you get the whole gunfight, the shootout of the OK Corral is fantastic. And then you get, like, Worf putting on the cowboy hat. This is where he gets his iconic cowboy hat that he wears for the rest of the series. I mean, when you think of iconic Next Generation imagery, I mean, it's got to be Worf's cowboy hat, right? Is there anything better?
Troy was really trying to sell that big.
Do you believe him?
I don't.
I guess that's the first question of what's up questions that we got to do. So you don't believe Troy at all that Worf doesn't start wearing a cowboy hat from now on?
He's already got that like sash. I don't think he needs more accessories, but he does have a sash, so maybe he is into accessories. So I'm gonna say no for now, but
Just wait till we get to DS9.
maybe.
I'm joking. He didn't know.
He gets 2 sashes.
He gets a different stash at one point. Like he switches out sashes.
Yeah.
Stash? No, sashes.
He said stash.
I said sash.
'Cause he-
I meant
he
sash,
doesn't- yeah.
not stash.
He does have a stash. So
Yeah.
It's like a bandolier, right? Is that what that is?
yeah, I think that's the word for it.
Yeah.
I was thinking sash like a Girl Scout, but
Well, it kind of starts out that way. If you look at season 1, it's like literally just decorative. But like I think
yeah, it's all like metallic in this one.
yeah, that's how it looks most of the time, but yeah. Yeah. It's a Klingon thing, I guess.
Was Majel Barrett in this episode?
I don't think so, but she could have been the prostitute. We didn't get a close look.
She was the computer, but we've already
Was there a
established that.
computer?
Was there a computer voice in this one? I can't remember.
I don't remember. Did
I
Data
can't
have
remember.
sex with her?
She was there in spirit.
Was there a tribble?
I don't think there was a tribble. No.
There wasn't.
Sad face.
Who was your favorite character?
Oh.
I think it was. I don't. It's hard. I really like Troy in this episode, but
Yeah.
obviously, Data steals the show, and also Worf was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I guess
Which
I have
Data?
I have to pick a Data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I guess
Because-
Frank Data.
Frank Data was
Yeah.
great.
He was the coolest.
Yeah.
Eli Data was funny, but Frank Data was cool.
Eli Data was a little annoying at times.
He was a little creepy.
Yeah. I don't know. Mexican Data is pretty great. We didn't get to see
Did
him
he
a
Well,
do
he
lot.
anything?
doesn't have any
Yeah.
lines.
He probably laughs. He has to laugh.
Yeah, he's all giggling.
Because that's like all that character did.
Yeah.
No, he didn't even laugh. He like threw the gun. Oh wait, he says, "Senor."
Frank.
Yeah, and he threw the gun. That's pretty much it. And it was kind of Mexican, I guess.
I don't know.
It wasn't overtly racist, I don't think. Did the technobabble make any sense?
No.
Fair enough.
The only techno babble I can think of is like Data's like my positronic something got something.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly what a positronic something is, but yeah.
Was this a good, a bad, or a meh episode?
So do you guys want to find out what Troy thought first?
No, we want to find out what you thought first.
We always give you guys his opinion first. But
No, we don't.
yeah, we do. Every time.
Do we?
Uh-huh. Boy, I'll go ahead and tell you. I thought it was a good episode. Yeah, I thought it was a good episode. It was really funny, and it was just a fun episode despite the blackface.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I always thought we let you go first, so our opinion didn't influence yours.
No, I guess we just trust me to lock in my opinion. I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a good episode.
I agree.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't confer with everyone this week. I think this is a good episode. Of course, it's a season 6 episode. It's definitely better than the last episode.
Yeah. Do you mean Rascals or do you mean the Catwalk?
No, Rascals.
Yeah, I think it's better than both of those. It was yeah. I think it's funny how every episode we've seen of TNG so far, Picard's not really done much. You know, like I guess Picard did a lot in Rascals, but it wasn't Patrick
Picard?
Stewart. Yeah, like it wasn't Picard. It was Picard Light.
Well, the Patrick
yeah.
Stewart heavy episodes tend to be a little bit more dramatic, as you'll come to find.
He's not much of an actor, though. We learned that in this episode.
No, John Luke Picard
Yeah.
is not much of an actor. Sir Patrick Stewart, on the other hand, is a
It's
great
one of the
actor.
best. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
So now we can listen to Troy's
Okay.
opinion if you want.
Let's see what we sort of already heard Troy's opinion.
In the end, I really like this episode. It is total candy. Like, it is completely inconsequential. It's just fun, but I think this is like a great example of a goofy holodeck adventure
Blackface.
done right. It still has the problem all holodeck adventures have, which is like, why do people hang out on the holodeck?
Why do they bring kids?
It tries to kill them every time they're there. Stop hanging out there. But I think that it's really good at doing... Oh, I dropped my microphone. Don't worry, though. I didn't drop the baby, just the microphone. Sorry about that. Hang on. There we go. I think it does a great job of doing a Star Trek as a place story. It takes what we know about Star Trek and uses that to do a spin on a story that really has no business being in Star Trek. And really, this episode made me reflect on Picard, and it made me realize what I didn't love about Picard, because my wife just came in and she's wearing a shoulder carrier thing. It's so we can put our baby on our shoulder pack, and she looks just like what's his name in Death Stranding. And now I'm going to have to show her a picture of that when I finish this. But anyway, I feel like Picard was a non-Star Trek story in a Star Trek a non-Star Trek story in a Star Trek setting, but extended out to an entire season. If you got the kind of story that Picard was telling in an episode, I think it would have been okay. But over a whole season, it just kept not feeling quite like Star Trek. Whereas this episode does a great job of telling a non-Star Trek story, but still feeling like Star Trek all the way through. I liked it. I think it was good. And so did Atticus.
So did Atticus. That's great. I totally agree. I mean, I really liked Picard, but I agree about this. Yeah. It felt like Star Trek, even though it shouldn't have.
Yeah, so we had a Twitter poll, like we always do, and 86% of the people said it was good. 14%, probably one person, said it was meh. So I'm curious who that one person and or 14% of people, I didn't do the math, there were only 7 votes, it was probably one person. I'm curious who that person was.
I don't know.
Maybe, do you think they were turned off by the Mexican stereotype, the blackface,
Maybe
the drag? There's things in it that aren't great, but overall it was a really fun episode.
It's a good episode. I wouldn't call it a great episode, and so much of TNG I would consider great, so it's hard to kind of grade it on those 3 tiers. It's not meh though, it's better than meh.
Definitely better than meh.
All right, so is it time to pick a new episode?
Yeah.
So, I was looking through the list, and I was like, I'm going to come up with a theme, and I saw that there was an episode called The Best of Both Worlds, so then I'm like, hey, that's a Hannah Montana song. Can I make a theme that's just Hannah Montana songs? And I could not. That was the only one that fit. So then I reached out to one of our listeners, Kyle, on Discord, and I was like, hey, Kyle, pick a number between 1 and I forgot how many episodes are on the list, like 240 something like that.
It was less than 200 when we started, wasn't it?
Yeah.
God. It's mutating.
We started with like 150 or something.
It was like 130.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like double.
Yeah. So, if you've been looking at our Discord, you'll know that Kyle doesn't believe that there's an episode of Deep Space Nine on the list. So I figured we'd let Kyle sort of pick this episode. Oh. That way, if it's not Deep Space Nine, it's kind of his fault. So he gave me the number 172, which I'm going to use that to determine which column.
Okay.
No, row. Yes, row. Row that we pick. And the first row is title stuff, so I'm going to subtract a number. Mm-hmm. So whatever's in 171 is what we're watching.
Oh, okay.
So let's see what that is. I'm scrolling. It is called Shore Leave.
Do we need to check to see if it's a DS9 episode?
No.
Okay.
I'll pull up the trailer.
I think I know which one this is.
Okay, so this is looking like an original series episode.
Yep.
All right, so let's play the trailer.
I know exactly which one this is.
Captain's log, stardate 3025.8. A planet which seems to be paradise is chosen for a shore leave, but things of fantasy
this
which are undeniably real suddenly appear.
What is this even? We've seen a samurai, a bunny rabbit.
It's an interesting planet. I believe you'll find it quite pleasant. You'll have no problems.
I swear I heard someone moving around.
Don't talk like that.
What is that? This is a weird episode.
Well, I am on shore leave.
And so am I.
It's about to get weirder, dude. It's about to get weirder.
All right, Jimmy boy.
There's a knight.
Oh man.
Okay.
So
This is gonna be an interesting one. You're in for it now.
yeah,
So
we can blame Kyle for this, right?
yes, Kyle, this is your doing. Let me try and describe to the listeners who don't want to look this up, which there's a link to the trailer in the show notes. What we just saw.
Yeah, what did we just see?
I don't even know. Like, we just saw, like, first of all, there looked like someone that was dressed up as Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. And then there was a rabbit, like a guy in a rabbit suit popped up. And then there was a helicopter and a fighter jet.
Hey, Tyler.
Yes.
Let me give you a little hint. It wasn't Dorothy. It was more like Alice.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which explains the giant rabbit as well.
And the fighter jet.
Alice in Wonderland.
Uh-huh. So,
yeah,
I think if there's anyone to blame for this episode being on the list, it's probably me.
Because you put it on the list?
Well, when I was talking with Troy about it, we were debating on whether or not we should include it. And I described it as the Alice in Wonderland episode.
Okay.
There's a lot more to it than that.
So... Yeah, it essentially, it seems like while you're on this planet, fantasies come true.
Whose fantasy was the rabbit?
Or, no, I don't know.
I guess we'll find out next week.
I
get, like, there was a scene where Bones was surrounded by women, and, you know, Bones was about to bone. And, I get that one, but then he was getting charged at by a knight.
Someone else's fantasy was intruding on his, maybe?
I don't know. All right, that's gonna be weird.
It's gonna be real weird. Strap in.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, let's do some plugs. I think. I'm supposed to say if it's gonna be a good, bad, or meh episode. I'm gonna say bad.
Yeah.
It could be fun though.
I guarantee it's
like
not
there's
meh.
a lot of weird stuff happening. Oh man, I don't know. It looks bad, but it looks like maybe good bad. Like it could be fun bad, but it could just also be really bad. So you can listen to more of Troy and MC, all the best animated shows ever so far. I forgot what show you're watching right now.
Currently we are watching Darkwing Duck.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
I forgot because an episode of it hasn't came out yet. You just announced that's the one you're doing.
It'll be out this today. The same day as this episode. The first episode should be out. I didn't want to spoil it last week.
Yeah. So you can also listen to more of Erik on Epic Fellows of History. That's Epic with a K, where he talks about humanity's greatest failures and what we can learn from them.
Yep.
And yeah, you got a new episode of that coming out, like in the works?
Eventually,
I know you said you were recording one.
Yes. So I recorded this episode back in July, I want to say, and I'm finally getting around to just I need to edit this thing and get it out. It looks like it's going to be a 2-parter, and I have no idea when I'm going to have it done, but sometime in the next month, let's say.
If it makes you feel better, I have an episode of Too Young for This Hit that I recorded probably last July that I haven't released yet.
Oh, wow.
And it's really funny because my friend that I recorded it with in the episode, he asked me, when's this going to come out? And I was like, probably 2 weeks.
Yeah, something similar happened with the guest on this episode. I think he just believes that I didn't actually record it or something. Like he just thought I had pranked him or something.
So a podcast that is coming out is Podcasters Assemble, where we're doing the James Bond movies. Next one is Diamonds Are Forever.
Yes. But the next one that people can submit for is Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die?
Yep.
which is the only James Bond movie I have ever seen. So I'm looking forward to submitting for that one.
It's so bad. It's
got a good song and Pimp Mobiles.
Sure. It's got that.
It's also got virginity powers, which is it's something.
Yep, it does.
Yep. Yeah. So you can find links to all of that at our social media and the show notes. And yeah, MC, how do we end it?
I guess next time we're beaming down to a planet and experiencing Alice in Wonderland firsthand. So 3 to beam out
on LSD.
Three to trip balls. This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
@ProbablyWork
for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.